What is up, good people? Let's do a little live stream. What do you think about that? Do a little tiff action? Man, since the last time we live streamed on Tiffany Henyard, a lot has happened. We got another eviction notice. We've got Tiffany Henyard running for mayor. We've got her doing this long Facebook, this hour and 27-minute long Facebook, not rant, but what I would describe as if Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, was a mayor of Dalton, and he was upset with his board. This is what an hour and a half long rant on Facebook would look like. We're going to cover some of that. We're going to cover a lot. We're going to look at some videos. Let's jump on in. Enough nonsense from the real estate guy from Seattle, right? Let's get you guys cued in here. All right. You know, they say there's no such bad thing as publicity. Well, this would be, I think, the exception, where Tiffany Henyard's got herself so much publicity, but all of it is essentially negative. There's no way you can spin any of this as productive or as actually defending herself. This is the main article I'm going to lead off with. Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard will seek to arrest political opponents as she faces eviction. This is coming from Fox News. This is an interesting article from Fox News. Henyard went on a near 90-minute rant on Facebook during which she bashed her opponents. Here is the clip. Let's watch this first clip. This is the one you all came for. Let's do this. Got to take the audio off. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to go like this.
Hey guys, come on in. It's your favorite super mayor, Tiffany A. Henyard, the people's mayor. I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges. It's a lot. And that's just me telling you a little bit. Because all this point the finger to Tiffany or allow me, I'm over it. Now it's time for me to speak. As I say, truth speaks. That's what time it is. So stay tuned in your turn. Not when it's time to run and you're promising me the world. No. Residents, hear me. You don't need that. You don't want that. It's time out for that. It's time now to make a stand with your supervisor, Tiffany A. Henyard, a.k.a. Super Mayor, Mayor of Dalton, the first female in both places. It's time. And I want women to stand up. Stop fighting each other. I never seen this crab in the barrel mentality. I just haven't. But, like I said, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. But what I want us to do is band together. Because it's unity amongst community for me. It always has been. You ain't never going to see a politician that do 40 events in a year. Who overworks themselves? You got to care if you're going to put in that much work. Who going to make events for the kids and the youth? Who going to make sure they always do something? But answer this, residents, please. Answer this one question. Why is it when supervisor, a.k.a. Mayor Henyard, do an event, y'all call it wasteful spending, or she doing this or doing that?
See what I'm saying? I mean, if a delusional Tony Robbins was doing a speech, that's what it would look like, right? That is exactly what it would look like. And I say delusional because if there was another side, we would see it at some point here. Now we're going to go through this. Tiffany Henyard, the scandal-plagued Democrat mayor of Dalton, Illinois, has suggested that she'll seek to arrest political opponents, many of whom have raised concerns about her lavish spending on the taxpayer's dime. The embattled mayor, who is also facing eviction, we're going to talk about that, from her rented home, has made national headlines due to her alleged misuse of taxpayer funds, with former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot previously investigating her extravagant spending habits. Now, the super mayor keeps telling us that she's gonna spill the tea. What's her quote? I wrote down a bunch of quotes from her live stream so that you don't have to watch the entire hour and 27. You're welcome, by the way. But I'll show you where that is if you care. All right. If you want the tea, get it from me. I mean, that's a quote right there. Okay. All right. I will be seeking arrest for individuals involved, Henyard said. Arrest for what? What? I see nothing that the board has done. There has been no implication that the board has done anything incorrect. In fact, the board is shedding light on what is otherwise some really sketchy scenarios of overspending. Henyard said during a rambling 90-minute video she posted on Facebook Tuesday. I will be pressing charges. It's a lot. And that's just me telling you a little bit, because all this finger pointing at Tiffany or lying on me, I'm over it. All right. All right. Now it's time for me to speak. As I say, truth speaks. Now we have heard this multiple times where she's going to come up with something. She's going to show us the truth. She's going to just spit truth to us. And then we're all going to sit back and go, oh, okay. I get it. I see. All right. And yet each of those opportunities comes and goes. And, sometimes on a major scale, like Washington, D.C. and New York City on some major podcasts. We'll get to that in a sec. Henyard, who introduced herself as Supermayor in the video, did not say what crimes her opponents may have committed. No. Zero evidence, just throwing out some stuff. So you want to talk about creating clickbait? Tiffany Henyard, this is it. You created clickbait. We're all like, okay, I'm in. Who's getting arrested? And for what? I want to know. Tell me. Let me know what it is that your boards are doing illegally. Now, other notes that I wrote down is your lawyer said that both of your boards were corrupt. You said that in the live stream on Facebook. Both of your boards are corrupt. Are they corrupt or are you corrupt? We don't really know. We don't have any evidence stating that the board is corrupt. But if that's the case, hey, show us some proof. I'm listening. I'm here. I will podcast that all day long. So you got some proof? You betcha. News for reasonable people. We're reasonable. You got something for me? Let me know. I'll throw it up. I'll talk about it. She took to the social media platform after a meeting of the Township Thornton Township, which she also leads as supervisor, was canceled due to a lack of quorum as trustees raised safety concerns about the meeting venue. It's the second time in a row that the gathering has been canceled, according to the Chicago Tribune. She also blasted the fake news for the media's coverage of her time in office and bashed dissenting officials. Well, by dissenting officials, you mean the Attorney General for state of Illinois? Like that official? You mean judges who consistently rule against you in a court of law? Are all of these people against you? I mean, that is, if that's the case, if that's your stance, this is literally delusional. I mean, that's all I got. You're delusional. I don't see any other way to come on here and spin this other than, what are you talking about? Here we keep going here. Why is it with me in my life, y'all don't hear my side? Sorry, my y'alls. That's not a word I grew up with. Y'all judge off the one side of the narrative that's out in the world, but never hear from me. No, we hear from you. There's just no substance. There's none. You got nothing. You got goose eggs. So I was always told, if you want to get the tea, get it from me. We're waiting. Where is it? I want to know. People come to this podcast because, hey, we're talking about Tiff. We're talking about Supermayor Tiffany Henyard. They want to know. I mean, you have to get it from the horse's mouth. Well, that's what we're trying to do, but there's nothing coming out of the horse's mouth. Henyard has promised proof of her opponent's misdeeds in the past, pitching a podcast and brief national media tour, but it failed to deliver, per WGN TV. All right. Not that one. This one. Yeah. Faced with fury over spending, Henyard went on a media tour and billed taxpayers. What does that look like? Well, let me get down to it. Sorry. Henyard appeared in studio for an interview with Roland Martin in Washington, D.C. in late February, and then traveled to New York City to be on the Way Up with Angela Yee program. Now, WGN Investigates has obtained credit card records that show Thornton Township taxpayers were billed for a portion of the media tour. Remember, this was a media tour because things, the optics of Tiff's, her political career, were not looking good. They were looking very, very poor because all of this negative publicity, including FBI probes. You got former Mayor Lori Lightfoot coming in with a report saying, hey, we went from $5 million budget surplus in Dalton to a negative $3 million, $4 million, who knows how many million deficit. So, there's got to be some give and take there. And we don't know what that give and take looks like. So Roland Martin, a significant podcaster in D.C., way up with Angela Yee. Nothing came from those interviews, did they? Because Tiffany Henyard's essentially got nothing. I mean, nothing that has come to light anyway, right? So why do we have all this attention on Tiffany Henyard? What the hell are they doing? Why don't they want us to know about while they are distracting us over here, she asks. This is on the Facebook live stream. Meanwhile, Henyard's landlord tells Fox 32 Chicago that the mayor and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, haven't paid their rent since August and wants them out. The pair are together pulling down over $300,000. So it's like $287,000. And then Kamal Woods makes another $100K for running an anti-violence program, Township of Thornton. So nearly $400,000 a year between the two of them. And they can't come up with $2,400 in rent. Now, I questioned the whole rent thing from the standpoint of it went from 22 to 24. Well, the landlord bumped it up because they're on a month-to-month lease. And when their real lease expired, went to a month-to-month, and her taxes went up. And that's a pretty normal thing. Hey, my taxes went up a bunch. Therefore, I need to increase your rent. That's completely normal. So Tiff and Kamal Woods, her married boyfriend that lives with her, are just continuing. They continued to pay $2,200 and said, screw the 24. We're not doing that. And now in September, October, they're just not paying at all. They're not paying at all. Their landlord, Janetta Hall, said she was forced to raise the rent by $200 to $24 because of the taxes. We got that. So what happened with the landlord is the landlord had, I'll show you. We've got, let's go, that's not it. That is not it. Yeah, up or down, Township Thornton, no. Yeah, I think it's this, is it this one? So, no, it's right here. All right, let's go here. This is interesting.
Tuesday. Court documents show Cook County Sheriff's deputies have tried and...
Okay, so I know you can't see it all that well, but you've got two, I thought it was 3 times that the sheriff had to serve papers, but the deal is in Cook County in Illinois, you have to have the sheriff try, and if the sheriff can't do it, then you have to have a judge appoint the server to serve, and it's either a private investigator or a process server, and the judge has to authorize that. So here we've got 2 different times that the sheriff's officer came out, and once at the board meeting, and then another at the house, and there was no go. So that's why you've got a situation right here where the landlord is basically saying...
Happening tonight in the south suburbs, the woman who owns a Dalton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now she wants her out. NBC5's Regina Waldrop with the story.
We talked to Tiffany Henyard's landlord, and she says she came to this Thornton Township meeting Tuesday night hoping to get paid what she says she's owed.
We do not have a quorum, so we will not be having a board meeting this evening.
With Thornton Township's board meeting canceled, Janetta Hall will have to find another way to serve an eviction notice to Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, also Dalton's mayor.
So now I have to pay a special process server in order to get them served. which is more fees for me.
Hull says she leased this home to Henyard and her boyfriend in 2021. She says the last payment came in August. She filed eviction papers last month. She says she's now owed $5,000 in back rent plus late fees. She says the couple was a no-show for a Zoom hearing Tuesday morning.
The sheriff's been out here a few times to serve them. For a household that makes, over $350,000 a year, I'm asking for pennies.
Hull says she hasn't been able to gain access to the home or garage to do maintenance.
I gave them 48 hours notice. And then I also texted them about 15 minutes before I got here. So there's a code on the garage, and then there's locks on the front door that were changed.
In a statement, an attorney for Tiffany Henyard told NBC5 no comment at this time. Hull says she regrets renting to the couple.
I don't think the money is worth it. The cash up front is not worth it. I would have rather rented to someone who, is an honest person and goes to work every day and works hard.
This matter heads back to court next Tuesday at the Markham Courthouse. Regina Waldrop.
So if you don't want, if you don't want all that, drama, show up in court. If you're being asked to pay, some back rent, then you need to show up in court. Why was there no attorney? Why did neither Tiffany Henyard, who was mayor and a supervisor, basically blow off a court, hearing? It's insane. The whole landlord thing to me is weird because this landlord has known the Henyard family, I believe, for like 20 years. And Tiffany Henyard, texted her late at night, I think it was, and said, "Hey, I want your house." And so the landlord said, "Okay, all right." She's like, "Okay, let's do this." And this whole notion of, cutting off the access on the garage remote. All right. And also changing out the locks. That's typically a violation of a lease, but it's also an indication where a tenant who is not going to pay for a while is going to hunker down because they're going to, they're already avoiding process serve, at both work and at home, and they're not paying rent. And they've got a court date, which they've already blown off. So this article kind of goes into a bunch more stuff, but let's go over to WGN. Tiffany Henyard threatens opponents with arrest. This video right here, let me get my special yellow button out. This video right here, we're going to finish up with this video at the end of today's live stream. This is a 9-minute video from Ben Bradley. That's kind of a summation as of right now, where all of this drama has started from and gotten to. It's a really well done video. I want you guys to see it. Well, we'll do that at the end. So if you want to dip out, you can. Self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard is taking her threats against opponents to a new level, threatening them with arrest. This is Ben Bradley. And he's the guy that basically broke this story with a series of interviews. And I was in based on Ben Bradley's interview. The one where he was talking about, did you go to Vegas? She just didn't even sidestep it, but just ignored it. Just sat there and, no comment. Ben Bradley goes, and we'll see it. Ben Bradley goes, what was that? It's the funniest thing. So he goes on to say the same thing. However, Henyard didn't specify what crimes she believes were committed. The social media stream of consciousness occurred Tuesday evening following a Thornton Township trustees meeting that was canceled officially due to lack of quorum. So literally, you've got this situation, up or down, Thornton Township meeting canceled again after location dispute and safety concerns. So they can't agree. You've got Chris Gonzalez is downstairs where you've got a much bigger room with more exits for the safety of the folks. You've got Tiffany Henyard and her allies upstairs trying to hold a meeting. So you've literally got up or down. Which floor are we going to go to? Well, if they don't all get in the same room, they don't have a quorum, the ability to have enough people to vote on township business to make a go of it. So that's what happened. They had yet another meeting that went sideways because they can't even agree on the simplest thing of where the meeting's going to be held. So Tiffany Henyard, she accused her opponents of a power and money grab while promising to reveal evidence in an unspecified later date. WGN Investigates reached out to Henyard's attorneys, whom she claimed afterward asked her to stay silent. All right, that is interesting. Hey, Tiff, You are not doing yourself legally any favors by going on YouTube or on Facebook and live streaming for an hour and a half, just a bunch of stuff that I believe, attorney would say, hey, don't say you're going to arrest, your board. That's not going to look good, because a judge is going to ask you, if it comes down to it down the road. Now, what did you mean by that? I see you made a statement, a pretty inflammatory statement against your board, both your boards, that you're going to have them arrested. Some would perceive that as a threat. So what do you mean by that? What's the deal? What are you talking about? And if Tiffany Henyard had a lawyer sitting there, I believe he would say, hey, you know what? Let's save this for later. Meaning, don't talk about it. Neither provided examples, meaning neither Tiffany Henyard or her lawyer provided examples of the alleged corruption or explained why Henyard might believe her opponents can be arrested and charged. And here's where we start to go down this road of, this isn't the first time Henyard has promised and failed. This is the story. Is, hey, I'm going to arrest him based on what? Well, I'm going to spill the tea. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to show you. And time after time after time, there's nothing. You got nothing. It's delusional. I mean, unless you actually, like we're going to go on and say here, this isn't the first time Henyard has promised and failed to deliver proof of her opponent's corruption or her own vindication. She's previously promised to spill the tea on a short-lived podcast. She had her own podcast and still does, because those don't just go away. Right? She's just not active on it. I think the last podcast was maybe in March, but she's more comfortable on Facebook doing a live. Okay, that's fine. It's essentially the same thing. But if you're going to go on there, you got to bring some actual proof of and it's not even her opponents, it's her own board that she's accusing of doing this. Unless you bring some proof and unless you vindicate yourself, hey, this is why they're persecuting me, and this is why it's not true. All right, I'm listening. So you've been on 2 big podcasts, you've had your own podcast, you've gone on Facebook a bunch of times, and now you're just basically spewing a bunch of nonsense, literally delusional Tony Robbins nonsense that doesn't do anything except bring more questions to my mind. Just like Ben Bradley is saying here. She also went on a brief national media tour that backfired and cost taxpayers. Meanwhile, Henyard and her boyfriend are the subjects of an eviction lawsuit by the owner of the home they share in Dalton. And I feel terrible for that landlord, but it is what it is. These folks can pay. And that's part of the narrative of, if they don't have the money on a cash flow basis, where's all that money going? Where's the $400K a year going? And I'm rounding up. Maybe it's like 370 something, I think, a year. So it's $30,000 a month. If you can't come up with $2,400 versus $30,000 gross, you've got some major money management issues. Or my theory is, if they truly can't pay it, it's because they're paying out so much in attorney's fees for all these lawsuits that they're, personally. We watched Tiffany Henyard last week, was it? Maybe the week before, get served during a failed board meeting that Tiffany took to go ahead and speak her own piece. And she spoke for a long time. And at the end, the process server said, I got a document for the supermayor. Gets up, hands it to her, and she brushes it off and says, you got to have something for clickbait, don't you? Well, this isn't clickbait. This is a mayor being served during a failed board meeting. And we're all just watching because this is entertaining. This is entertainment. And the entertainment is you keep telling us, Super Mayor, that you're going to provide that proof. Again, I'm listening. I want to know. I want to know exactly what the proof is, what you got going on. All right. I think we've worked our way through most of these. Yeah, looked at that one, up or down. Let's take, all right, since I had to watch this, you're going to have to watch this. I'm sorry about this, but we're going to skip through. We're going to look at the TIFF live stream, and we're going to take a peek. I'm just going to go through a handful of segments, and you get kind of a feeling for what we got going on here. But it's just some whacked out stuff because none of it makes sense. But what is super interesting is that the super mayor. Yeah,
hey
let's
guys,
go here.
Come on in.
Watch the first 2 minutes, and then we'll skip around.
Super Mayor Tiffany A. Henyard, the people's mayor. Come on in. I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes because I got just some couple updates to give you, and I just want you to hear it from me. As I always say, if you want the tea, get it from me. That part. So, as you guys chime on in, I just want to give you an update today. We had a scheduled board meeting here at Thornton Township. And unfortunately, guess what happened? The trustees did not show up. The only person that showed up was Trustee Darlene Gray Evers and myself and the clerk. That was it. Therefore, we did not have a quorum, so we could not conclude.
Now, they showed up. They were just downstairs where it was safer. So all you had to do was walk down there and have your meeting. But because you got this huge power struggle, you chose to stay upstairs and no meeting. Business didn't go on. Bills didn't get paid. The big tax rebate you're talking about with a couple $1 million going back to your residents, that didn't happen. Nothing happened.
The people's business, which is paying bills. I am here today just to let you know it's a lot of dumb stuff going on, and it's a lot of people that's being manipulated by people that you know. And unfortunately, they sit on my board here at Thornton Township. I need you to understand that it is a conspiracy against me, Tiffany Henyard, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove it, and I'm going to give you the evidence coming up sooner than later. I know a lot of people have been waiting to hear from me, and I got a lot of facts versus fiction. I'm going to do a conversation with the mayor coming up over in Dalton, and I'm going to do Township Talk here in Thornton Township. So that way you understand the difference between the two bodies of government. Yes, I am running for re-election. I am. Oh my God. Yes, I'm running for re-election. So I can calm the noise for all you naysayers that don't know.
What was that?
I mean, they know I'm coming.
Okay.
You know I'm coming now. So I will be on the ballot coming up for the February 25th election. That's election day. You can always early vote. But before then, let's back up. Make sure y'all go vote for the November.
You know what?
5th.
We're going to skip around.
November
Let's skip
5th.
around.
Stop. That's what they're trying to destroy. While y'all still hating on me, still talking about me, I'm still doing something right because you're still talking about me. I'm the topic of everybody's conversation, right? I am still getting the work done. And that's what you should want. And I hate the word of politician, public servant. That's what I am. You're a public servant. Because I'm serving you. But that's what you should challenge people of today. You should challenge them with, what have you done?
Keep in mind, this is on Facebook. This is a group of people who follow her mainly because they are wildly supportive of her. And if you go on this so just Google Tiffany Henyard Facebook and come up with this kind of icon here, because there's a handful of other Facebook profiles that go nowhere. And so these are her people that she is speaking to. And if you go in the comments, it is the funniest thing because, 9 out of 10 of them are, we love you, Tiff. We love you. You're the best. You're the greatest thing that's ever happened to Dalton. And then somebody will pop off with, she needs to be in prison. She should be in prison. It's just this dichotomy of her speaking to people that absolutely love her because of what she says versus what she proves. And then other people that are more like on this live stream and are very unconvinced of what it is that she's doing and maybe her lack of accountability due to overspending. Just a thought.
How about that? Or what have you done over time? You're going to have several people. People always ask me, what do you want out of this job? Or what's your next move? I want the next young lady, and those in TV land or looking in this camera right now, I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to look at me as strength and say, because she did, I can.
Okay.
It's your narrative. It's your light. Don't let nobody dim your light thinking theirs gonna shine. Don't let nobody come in there trying to tell you or dictate to you your moment. It's your moment. Live it, breathe it, and be happy in it.
So what I hate to say is Tiffany Henyard's followers are gullible enough to believe this and are gullible enough to believe that she is innocent of all charges and that this is happening just because she's being persecuted. If Tiffany Henyard had any proof, I think we would have seen it by now. She's had a national platform multiple times to be able to do this. She's got a national, I mean, at the time when I saw this video, I think there was 44,000 people that had watched it. She's already got a national platform. It's just not the direction that, you know, you normally get it.
It's several people that have several seats, from senators to state reps to mayors to committeemen to everything under the sun. So like I said, if the men could do it, why can't I? Why when it's me, the woman, and that's why I'm speaking to all the ladies. Why when it's us, it's a problem. It's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when we do it. Y'all know the rest. We gotta make the change that's needed. We gotta pave the way.
The change that's needed, she's been in office. That's like Kamala Harris saying that she's going to be the change that's needed. Hey, you've been in office. Your party has been in office 12 out of the last 16 years. What's the change we're talking about? Tiffany Henyard has been, you know, supervisor and mayor, so you're already there. What change is it that you're looking to do? Because the changes I'm seeing are that the constituents of Dalton who have their head screwed on correctly, they want her out. You're out of here. Clean house 2025. Yeah, it's a thing, right? We'll take a look at a couple more clips here.
Not the only side to hear from. I always tell people this. If say you're on the fence about me when you meet me, and I say, hey, why did you just make a decision on one side of the narrative? Your job is to get both sides and then make a decision. And that's why I always say, judge me on my work. Not what somebody said about me or you think or maybe. Judge me on the work you've seen with your own two eyes get done. Or go pull up and you'll see with your own two eyes the things that have been done. Please stop making decisions without getting all the facts. Make decisions once you get all the facts. I'll give you an example. When you go to court, can you hear just from one side? I'm being funny right now, but I'm just saying. Can you hear from just one side, or do both sides have to give you information? That's all I'm saying.
Both sides have to give information. But this is a prime example. Tiffany Henyard, nor her attorney, didn't show up in court at a hearing. So what are you talking about? You're saying, hey, you got to hear from both sides. Yes, absolutely correct. But in order for that to happen, if you're the defendant, you got to be there and give your side. You can't just no show and hope that it works out without any comment from your attorney, because then other people are like, well, guilty, boom, done, right? I mean, and this just goes on. This delusion just continues.
It's only 23,000 residents, yep. Then why y'all got attention on me if it's only 23,000 residents? There's other people in other towns that's doing crazy stuff that I've heard about. You heard me say heard about. That's why you hear me mentioning it. Seriously. And there's other elected officials that cry to the news about what their mayors or their board or whoever is doing. And again, y'all don't give them no attention. Why is that? We got to do better. We have to. If we're going to clear the corruption, let's do it together. Because everybody want to fake like you investigators and move around and this and that. Let's get rid of corruption together. But let's start with my board. That's what we need to start with.
Let's start.
Because when I speak and show you what I got, you're going to wish you believed me a long time ago.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
All right. I'm down.
And I'm talking about my board over there in the village of Dalton. And I'm also talking about my board here at Thornton Township. Chris and Carmen, liar. These are facts. Not made up stories, not this, not that. Facts. But all I could do is show you. Because I verbalize it. Like I said, I do everything else. But I'm going to show you this time so you can see what I've been saying the entire time. And I'm just waiting. I've been waiting on a nod from my lawyer. I've been waiting on a nod. So once that comes, the rest is history. But I just want...
All right. I'm waiting too. I am waiting too. Are you guys waiting? Are you waiting? We all are, aren't we? Because you know what? It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Now, if she's talking about, if she's talking about her squirrely lawyer, what is it? Bo, whatever. I mean, that guy is just, he's a liability. So I don't think anything's coming. I don't think anything is coming at all, except for this, rhetoric that just keeps coming, which has, it's got nowhere to go because there are zero facts backing it up. If there were any facts along the way here explaining her extravagant spending, explaining these trips, hey, you went and did this, you went and did that, then I think we'd see it. That all being said, I do not think she will do any time. I just don't. I think she's going to be squirrely enough. She's going to be able to say, well, they were responsible for spending. I don't take credit for a credit card. Oh, that charity? I mean, that's not really mine. Even though she's, on video, live streaming on Facebook, like we just saw, her whole charity thing. And that stuff is still up on the interweb. So there's all of this stuff that is a huge con in her favor, not con as in con man, but negative. And there's nothing that supports what she's talking about. Absolutely nothing. Again, goose eggs. You know what? We've beaten this story to death. Let's go ahead and let's watch the Ben Bradley. He's from WGN. He's the guy that cracked it. This is some good stuff. If you've kind of forgotten where things have, come for and gone to, let's take a peek at this, and we're gonna talk about some of it as we go here. But let's do this. Okay.
My name is Ben Bradley. I'm an investigative reporter at WGN TV in Chicago.
Has your son forgiven you for shooting him? What did you learn in prison and in your time?
Our small but mighty team has reported 120 stories in the past year.
Let's go.
Mr. Guevara, I'd like to talk to you. Sir, don't leave your dog out here.
It's not unusual for us to have confrontations with some of the characters we cover.
Is Rita staying with you? Or?
Rita who? Do me a favor and kiss my head.
Do you feel like you're mistreating any of these animals?
Of course not. Well, in the court argument, please don't touch me.
Interview that got things started.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
That is why I follow this story. That interaction right there. Because you're like, who answers something like that? Who looks at her, who was it? Probably Keith Price off to the left. Somebody like that. Or maybe her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, looks over there and smiles because she knows she's giving an absolute BS answer. And off to the right up here, we've got Ben Bradley just calling her out on it. What was that? I mean, that's all you can say is, what kind of response was that? Because who does that? Who does that? Guilty, but she's not going to admit it. She's going to smile her way out of it, and we're all just going to go, oh yeah, that's the super mayor. She's got a special way of handling things. We're just going to haul past that. I mean, that's all you can think of, right?
Meet Tiffany Henyard. She's the mayor of a small suburb about a half hour south of Chicago. She actually has two jobs. She's also the supervisor of the largest township in Illinois. It's the reason behind her self-appointed title.
Hey guys, it's your favorite super mayor.
Get it? She's the supervisor and the mayor, super mayor. She makes good money from those two positions, and oddly, she denied the amount to us.
You make almost $300,000 between your two elected positions.
I do not. I don't know where you got that number from.
We got it from her own village and township records.
Anyway, this is the backstory of how one of our most talked about investigations came to be. When our investigative producer, Andrew Schrader, first came to me and said, "You're not going to believe the credit card charges these officials in Dalton and Thornton Township are racking up," I was instantly intrigued. You see, I grew up a few towns from Dalton, so I've witnessed firsthand the struggles some south suburbs have endured over the years. Dalton is a working class community where the average person makes just $24,000 per year, but that didn't slow Mayor Henyard and her team's spending.
We need receipts to understand what's going on.
It was that first story that led to that infamous interview.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas?
What can you say? What can you say?
What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
Let's stop right there.
Let's stop right there, because that is absolutely in the face of reality. Ben just asking some point blank questions. Answer the question. It's kind of like Kamala Harris and how when she doesn't have an answer for you, she goes on some 500 word, word salad and just throws out a bunch of words and goes, God, I hope I bored them to death, because now they'll just move on to the next question. Instead, Tiffany Henyard just basically smiles and says, next question. Like, that's going to do it?
Because as a reporter, I know there are a million ways a politician could have answered that question.
Because remember, I got the tea with the receipts. Matter of fact, if you want the tea, get it from me.
Rather than responding to questions from reporters, Henyard makes videos pouncing on her opponents.
Larry the liar, stop it. You caught, poop, be gone, you caught.
And promising answers, but never quite explaining her spending, leadership style, and transparency. And that's evidence of the role personality plays in this story.
You the ones that's costing the village money.
Okay.
I don't have that call. All
right.
Okay. Well, she's supposed to shoot. You wanted her to expound? Don't drag out the meeting. Listen.
I made a motion.
You see, Tiffany Henyard does not like to be challenged. She demonstrates this at almost every village board meeting when opposition trustees ask her for more information about village vendors and bills before they'll agree to sign off.
But I shouldn't have to sit up here and break all this down.
That meeting was a mess. It led our photographer to snap this image of me with my head in my hands in disbelief. Normally this type of story would be one and done, but the tips flowed in, and any reporter worth his press pass would have pursued them. Residents and business owners accused Mayor Henyard of targeting her political opponents.
They destroyed my trucking company. They shut my store down.
Whenever we go over to the village, we don't get a response.
Dysfunction in Dalton means bills don't get paid, and interest adds up, leaving taxpayers on the hook. With interest, the bill has now grown to more than $427,000. A bank threatened to repossess more than a dozen village vehicles, including police cars. When a trustee asked the deputy chief, a Henyard supporter, about it, he denied it.
There are no Dalton vehicles being repossessed. I know exactly who you're talking to. And guess what? It's been taken care of.
Then, a few days later, the bank sent a letter to Dalton officials. Yup, the village was $76K in default. Lo and behold, after our stories aired, the village sent a check and the bank backed down.
Hey guys, it's me. Yes, me. Superman.
Even Henyard's pet projects run into payment problems. The guy who put the coating on the village's skating rink told me he didn't get paid for months, forcing him to lay off staff. The mayor blames trustees for not paying the bills. They blame her for blowing the budget and not being transparent.
We are doing what is legal, what is right by the community, and we will continue to fight for you guys.
Speaking of money, let's get back to travel by Henyard and her political allies. A couple of months after our first story aired,
what I want to say is I'm a real estate guy, and what I equate the way that Tiffany Henyard and her whomever's, her allies on the board, the way that they run the village of Dalton is like a person that is 6 months behind on their rent, not just 2 like Tiffany actually is. Somebody who's 6 months behind on their rent continually, 7 months, 8 months, the bank will come after you, and only when you are absolutely pressed, right before you go into foreclosure, that's when you make a little bit of a payment. That's what Tiffany Henyard does, because she's got such a massive cash flow issue in the village of Dalton that's the way that they have to operate. Is when you absolutely scream, we will pay you, but we got so many people screaming at us that we can't pay the bills because we're essentially insolvent. Therefore, we're only going to pay who we can at, little bits and pieces. I don't know how this is going to end up. Not well is kind of the bottom line, right?
we got a new batch of credit card bills, this time from the Township.
Records show Township officials spent more than $67,000 on trips to Portland, Austin, Atlanta, and New York City. Many of the flights were first class. So were the accommodations. In Atlanta, they stayed at the Four Seasons, costing taxpayers more than $9,000.
I'm afraid this story doesn't end there. You see, Tiffany Henyard's name is also on a cancer charity.
I want people to know that I'm caring.
Tiffany Henyard told me in November she cares. Apparently so much so, it's also the name of her charity.
Check it out.
The Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation posts videos highlighting walks and other events that prominently feature the politician, proudly promoting her cancer charity.
I just want people to know that, hey, Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation is here. We will help anybody in need.
There's just one problem. We found Tiffany Henyard's Cares Foundation didn't file the proper paperwork with the Illinois Attorney General. So there's no way to tell how it collects or spends money, which, by the way, largely came from taxpayers.
Y'all are black, and y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself.
When she ignored our questions and then several deadlines from the AG, Henyard made a surprising about-face. She traveled to Washington for an interview with Roland Martin.
All I can tell you is that I'm not the one on anything. It's the only thing I can tell you right now. So I'm just trying to answer to the...
So you're saying there's a foundation that's not registered, but it has nothing to do with you?
Correct. That's true.
Okay.
That's
so you're not aware of any of the work that they've done, money that they've raised, anything along those lines?
Correct.
But her...
Absolute nonsense. That is 100% nonsense. She started that foundation with a check from $10K from the Township of Thornton. Period. She's all over Facebook doing her walkathon. Remember that event and raising money for that CARES Foundation? Remember that event where Stan Brown basically said, "Don't ask me any questions. I was just riding a bike." That was that event. They were riding bikes and they were walking until walking got to be too hard. And so then they brought in a bunch of bikes and they brought in some electric bikes or some, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, what? And now all of a sudden she goes on this tour, this media tour, and says stuff like that. So like, I don't know whose foundation that is. I'm pretty famous and people just take my name and likeness and they just create these foundations. I don't know anything about that. Well, those are the people you should be suing then, because those people are literally working fraud using your name. So you need to be going after those folks, not the constituents and not the people on your boards, because that doesn't make any sense. So she literally goes on a national platform and just lies through her teeth. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to spin it, in my opinion.
Her name is literally the name of the foundation. Tiffany Henyard Cares. She attended events. Her photos are everywhere. Money and manpower from the governments she controls provided most of the money
There's that
for the
check.
foundation. And did we mention her top advisor in both the village and the township actually was registered as the top agent for the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation? And on the board are other people who worked for Henyard. The wild thing is, I've actually wanted to walk away from this story several times. That's because the area that Tiffany Henyard serves is a relatively small portion of the Chicago region we cover. There are definitely bigger stories for us to investigate, and we continue to report on those. But as tips come in and continue to prove true, they point to conduct that shortchanges residents.
These are easily verifiable lies. That's unacceptable. That immediate attention didn't get kicked up until the lies came out on WGN.
So we'll stay on it, and I hope you continue to turn to WGN and WGN Investigates for updates.
I mean, you literally cannot make this stuff up. You can't. It's so crazy. It's so far-fetched. It's so, right-hand turn from reality. It's so delusional. And that's why we keep tuning in, right? Because we just don't know what's going to happen. Now, I was listening to an audio. WGN does a radio, and they have one of their reporters talking to their attorney, and Bert Odelson. And he is saying, he literally talks and he just tells you exactly, kind of what's going on. And he's saying today, Thursday, damn live streaming this for you, they're going to be in court again on yet another thing. They're in court almost every single day because this ridiculousness keeps going on. And it's going to keep going on until somebody puts a stop to it. And I think what we're waiting for is we're waiting for the FBI probes to come out, see what those look like. But my concern is that Tiff just weasels her way out of this, puts on that 10,000 megawatt smile and gets away with this. I don't know if that will happen, but that is my feeling of what will happen. I see all the comments you guys make. She's going to look great in an orange jumpsuit. And I agree. But will that happen? Is there enough to convict her of criminal whatever charges they're going to come up with? I don't know, but I'm leaning towards no. Maybe she gets a fine. Maybe she's got to do community service. Because in today's day and age, we're just not really holding anybody accountable, especially in Chicago, right? Especially in Chicago. Yeah, you literally got to kill somebody in order to have, justice brought, whatever that means. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Everybody that's here, much appreciated. I will catch up with you in the next one, and guaranteed there will be a next one. Love to have you like this video, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next live stream. Bye for now.